Welcome to The Curated Craftsman, a podcast where we'll learn about the hands, head, and heart behind creative entrepreneurs just like you. Kate Cook is the artistic drive behind Asphalt Canvas Custom Art and your host for this conversation about art, business, and belief.
Today we're getting to know the hands, head, and heart behind Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Gerstner Sons and fourth generation steward of one of America's most storied woodworking companies. As the great-granddaughter of founder Harry Gerstner and the daughter of J.H. Campbell, Kimberly carries forward a legacy built on precision, craftsmanship, and American grit. Founded in 1906, Gerstner Sons has been crafting heirloom quality wooden tool chests, machinist boxes, and specialty cases for over a century. From fine furniture-style joinery to custom interiors built for professionals, collectors, and craftsmen, their work blends function with timeless beauty. These chests are more than storage. They're enduring symbols of American craftsmanship passed down from one generation to the next. Today, Gershner continues to evolve without compromising its roots. The company remains proudly 100% American-made and has expanded into new markets through collaborations with lifestyle brands such as Grace USA Tools, The Gentleman Racer, and Orvis, bringing their signature chests and cases to a new generation of discerning craftsmen and artisans around the world. And we're so lucky to get to have the great-granddaughter of basically the beginning founder of the company on here with us at the podcast today. So her name is Kim. We just want to welcome her, and we are so excited to dive into kind of your story, your family's story, and get to know a little bit about Gerstner Sons. So can you tell us a little bit about where you're from, where the company is based at, and kind of an overarching view of what you guys offer as far as your services and products?
Yes, we're in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
And the factory has always been in Dayton, Ohio. It's where we get started. We are actually located in the building that my great-grandfather had built in 1914. So he started the company in 1906 and was actually successful enough to build his own building in 1914 and move in. We manufacture primarily wooden chests and cases. Once upon a time, we were strictly building tool chests, or they were instrument cases, or they were some kind of chest for the tradespeople. It would have been tool and die, it could have been pattern makers, it could have been machinists, typewriter repair people back in the day. NCR was also located in Dayton, Ohio, National Cash Register, so they had a lot going on. Dayton was actually known as the city of 1,000 manufacturers. So it is a huge industrial hub. If you think Orville and Wilbur Wright were here. So Orville Wright actually had a Gershner chest, which is on display at a local museum. So
Wow.
The amount of history that the building has here and the stories basically that come out of it, the employees that have worked for us over the years, we build tool chests at our heart, but we just build chests to last for generations.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. How I feel like I'm talking to a famous person. That's so cool. That is so cool. So yeah, famous family for sure. So I normally at this point I would love to get to know like the craftsmen and their backstory and how they got into this, but I think it would be wonderful to kind of hear about the beginning, the origins of Gershner and kind of who started it, being your great-grandfather. Any kind of cool stories about him, and then kind of walk us through how all of a sudden now you are in the business. And I mean, what is your background and history and love for this kind of craft? I mean, are you interested in woodworking at all yourself, or you are?
I graduated to sales. So I grew up here. I mean, when my dad took over the business in 1976, he would have been the third president of the company.
Okay.
And he came back here in 1976. We had lived in different places, but my parents grew up here and took over the company. And my brother and I were paid a penny a piece to stuff envelopes for mailers back then.
Wow.
So, I mean, we were kids, and I remember playing down here as a kid. I remember helping my dad on the weekends with different projects, or if production had to have some things worked out. I was always sort of inclined to help my dad out, whether it was projects around the house, whether it was little small engine repair stuff. We had a boat at one time, and he used to dangle me by my feet and, in between the engines and say, that little wrench down there, pick that up and tighten that through and things like that. So I was kind of always a little bit mechanically inclined, and and kind of worked my way through the factory also. And I worked in our covering department when we used to cover jewelry chests, and I worked in the sanding department, and I've worked in drawer fitting, and I've worked in assembly and kind of all over the factory. So it's kind of a point of pride that I can take one of these through just about from start to finish. And I can really speak to, the craftsmanship that goes into this because I've done it myself. So when you sell something that you love and can make yourself also, it becomes a whole lot easier to speak about it. And then there's the family tie-in also. So it's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm not just another salesperson. I am family. I am Gershner. So,
yes. Wow, that's such a legacy that your family has built. I think that is so cool that you're just as passionate about it as the men and women that came before you. I think that is just so cool. I was similarly raised kind of tomboyish like that, where my my dad was having me in the shop and, teaching me all about building cars and taking care of things. My mom was always like out there stacking wood with us and staining decks and doing all kinds of, hardworking, laborious chores. But we did it as a family, and I always look back on that, and I'm so thankful we had that kind of upbringing, because it just really kind of molds you as a human, I think, in a certain mold,
I think a lot of, today's generation, they don't necessarily know how to build anything. They don't, if you don't turn it on with a switch or, make it or ask it, a question or something, they don't really know what to do with things. And it's kind of funny when I kind of re-met my husband, because we were in middle school together, actually.
Oh,
But
wow.
met again later in life. When I walked into his garage, I said, "Why do you have a compound miter saw?" He said, "Why do you know what that is?" And I said,
That's
"Well, I
awesome.
probably know how to use it, maybe a little better than you do." So,
Yeah. And how long have y'all been together?
he and I have been together for 14 years now.
Oh,
So
wow. Congratulations. And so is
we met
he,
like 25 years later.
and so does he have a role in the company, or does he do something completely different?
No, he's got his own business, but
Okay.
he's been to trade shows and he's talked about the Gershners every once in a while, and he's kind of funny. Trade shows are funny anyway because typically a guy will come up to the first man that they see standing in the booth,
Yes.
and he stands there and says things like, "Well, I'm just here for eye candy."
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, "I'm the booth babe." He's like, "You really want to talk to Kim? She knows
Yes.
what's going on here." So it's really funny.
Oh, that's
Uh,
awesome. Man, it's cool to have husbands that are like so strong and able-bodied to be able to just do that. My husband has done the same
yep.
exact thing for me. Like, I used to make these pinstriped earrings, and they were like real hot commodities in my booth because they'd be right up front, like a lot more, the just easy ticket items. And so I would be selling art in the back, and my poor husband, who's a very like into cars, like very manly
Mhm.
dude, is up there trying to like market these pinstripe earrings, and it's just always like such a funny thing for me to think about, and I'm just so grateful for his help because, man, yeah, trade shows are no joke. Do you guys do shows still, even with the legacy and the name that you have?
We've recently kind of pulled back from them. I
Yeah.
haven't seen very much in the way of return on them recently.
Yeah.
They go cyclically, and it
Yes.
depends upon what we're doing at the time. I mean, the trade shows that we used to do all the time were the industrial shows, and yes, we're very well known there.
Okay.
But at the same time, with people's incomes being fractured and pulled in 25 different directions, I mean,
Yeah.
once upon a time, somebody had to go to a job. They had to have their own tool chest. They had to have their own tools. And that was the job. That person back then did not have an RV, did not have a boat, did not have vacations, didn't have kids with braces, didn't have, all these things that are pulling in 25 different directions, and ways to spend money. So our
Yes.
product has become a little bit more of a luxury product rather than a necessity. So
Wow. So that kind of came out of on accident, if you will. It wasn't something that you positioned in hopes for it to become that, but wow,
right.
that's incredible. Do you remember when my brother's like a big hot rodder drag racer, and he got into the NHRA, the
Mhm.
National Hot Rodding Circuit, and that was one of the biggest requirements at that time, was for them to purchase a rolling toolbox. That was like one of their main entry things. And you're right, like when you think about the trades, like that's pretty much the only, I can't think of another career path where you're like, you need to have a toolbox to enter,
Mhm.
except for maybe like, I saw something on your website, you guys have worked with tattooers as well, like
Mhm.
tattoo shops, and offering your chest through that kind of that lane as well, which I think is so cool. And I also want to commend you for really, I think you've done a wonderful job through your marketing to like showcase that these chests can do so much more than just like hold your journeyman tools or,
Right.
woodworking tools. Like you guys have like drink cabinets, beautiful jewelry boxes, there's like gun cases, like all kinds of stuff that you've really like expanded into. Is that like a team effort, or is it something that you've sought out, or have you purposely done that?
It's largely been customer driven.
That's
So
awesome.
we would have somebody say, my wife stole my chest and she turned it into a jewelry box. So now can you please build jewelry boxes so I can have my chest back? You know, so we would have people that would just kind of give us a use. And it's like, well, I use these for gunsmithing. Did you ever think about making a chest that had, this kind of a drawer and it was particularly sized for XYZ, whatever it was. So then that becomes born out of necessity. So
Wow.
I can remember my dad saying that he never wanted to make a, roll around cabinet. He said,
Yeah.
let somebody put it on a metal thing and then, bang it around and stuff like that. Why would you want to put it on a wood one? And people said, well, I have a Gerstner chest. I'm not putting it on something that's metal. I want it to all match. So, we started
Yeah.
making roll arounds too, and the roll arounds do fairly well.
That
So,
was so crazy to see the roll around ones. I mean, it looks like your typical like shape of like
mhm,
forgive me for the comparison, but a Harbor Freight toolbox, but it's
yep.
all completely American made and all out of wood.
Mhm.
And so that was just mind blowing to see that on y'all's website. Now, can you explain like the benefit of like metal over wood? Because I would imagine is wood heavier, or is there like a longevity over factor? Like what is the
Wood can be
difference?
heavier. Well, first of all, it won't rust.
Oh, that's
So,
so true. So true.
and by the way, it has a use. Everything that you put in the chest won't rust either, because
Yes.
the wood naturally absorbs any kind of moisture and condensation that might get on the tools away, because it's always seeking that natural balance to remain at the perfect sort of 6 to 8% or so humidity when it's kiln dried. So if it's in a dry environment, it's kind of, sucking in moisture and things like that. If it's in a wet environment, then it's expanding and it's letting things out. So
That
anything
is
that you
so
put in a wood chest is not going to rust. So there's
wow.
actually a purpose in it. And it's funny that you mentioned, another metal chest. If you think about it, there were wood chests way before there were metal ones.
I guess this is kind of something I'd love to dive into like the stories of the chests are even that much more beautiful sometimes than the woodwork itself, because like my dad has a Kennedy chest that
Mhm.
my great grandfather used. He was a professional machinist and a blacksmith, and when he died, my dad was adamant about his dad not messing with anything in the chest, like just keeping it
Mhm.
exactly how it was when my great grandfather passed away, because there was so many stories like in the top box, like little notes, and there was like a prayer, a couple printed out prayers from church and like pictures, and like you just look at that, and to me, like I've always said this, and one of the main reasons I started this podcast is because I think like a tool chest is like someone's fingerprint. Like it's as personal as someone's fingerprint. And so I love the concept of it going like all y'all's work going through all these different industries, because now every chest has this very unique fingerprint and story of the person that
They
used it.
can
I
they
think
can
yes.
literally be time capsules. It just I talk to people all the time that will say, well, this was my dad's chest or this was my grandfather's chest, and
Yeah.
I fought my brothers and sisters for it because everybody wanted it,
Yes.
or I'm buying, three more chests because, my brothers and sisters fought so hard over this one. I figured I'd get them their own and they could start their own legacy.
Cool.
I have we've done some interesting projects. I mean, that leads right into, we'll have children buy a chest to put their father's ashes in, because the poor guy wanted a Gershner his entire life,
Oh my
and now
God.
he gets to live in one basically
Yeah.
for all eternity,
Yes.
lack of a better way to put it. But so
Wow.
we've actually built chests, and with nothing on the inside, they look like, they have drawers and everything else, and they're an urn.
Earn,
So
yes.
we've
Wow.
done all sorts of kind of interesting things. I've worked with celebrities. We've had past presidents that have had the chests. We've
Hmm.
got radio personalities. We've got TV stars that own them. I mean, some past TV stars, some current TV stars, and it's been fun interacting with them also. So
That's
I'll see them at
incredible.
various trade shows and things like that. Tom Selleck was probably one of the nicest people I ever met.
And did he have a
Yeah.
specific use for it that you remember that?
He he was kind of funny when he called in. I answered the phone and I'm thinking, gosh, has anybody ever told this guy he sounds an awful lot like Tom Selleck? And this was back probably in the 80s. I don't think he was still doing Magnum then, but it might have been pretty close to
Okay.
that time. But he called in and he ordered a chest and he said, hey, I've been admiring your guys' stuff, for so long, and asked a bunch of questions. And I was on the phone with him for, oh, I don't know, half an hour. And then we get right down to it. And he goes, oh, I'm just going to order one. I'm like, okay, name on the credit card, Thomas W. Selleck. And I'm like, boy, am I glad I wasn't an idiot and said, do you sound like Tom Selleck? So
That's incredible. Wow.
he ordered something and then he called back and he said, well, I fancy myself, kind of a bit of an amateur woodworker. He said, have you ever made these in like a kit form? And we said,
Oh,
no, we haven't done it that way. And he said, well, would you make me one and not stain it or not finish it? Because I'd like to finish it out. So kind of do it in a rough format. And we said, yeah, I think we can do that. So it was a little roll around that we did for him and we sent it out there. And then I reached out to him later and said, well, how'd it go? And he said, well, I think I'm gonna leave it up to the experts next time. So he said it didn't turn out as well as I thought it was going to. He said, you guys, it's hard to do what you guys do.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean, that's when you know it's good craftsmanship is when you try and do it yourself and you're like, wow, this is way harder than they make it look.
I know it was funny. I tapped him several years later to ask his opinion about humidors because he started to
Mm.
appear on Cigar Aficionado and things. So he got me a set pass when he was filming a TV show and pulled up in Burbank and got onto a set and he came over to meet me and he said, "Oh my God, it's such an honor to meet you." And I was like, "Wait a minute." It's
Oh,
like roles
wow.
reversed here. So I mean, he's a super nice guy.
That is so cool. And so
Really.
do you find that do you guys offer the chance to like custom make chests all the time? Is that something you get frequently?
Yeah,
Wow.
we get requests to change things. We'll make things out of exotic woods. We've made things out of bubinga. We've done moradillo. We've done zebra wood. So we've
Wow.
we've done all sorts of different things.
And so
We have
how big is your team there? Like the factory, I can imagine you have a lot of employees or not so much.
actually no. Right
Okay.
now we've got I think there's maybe about 10 people that we've got
Wow.
out there that are working. I mean, we've run a crew as much as 50 before, and we've run as little as 5 or 6. It
Wow.
just depends upon what we're doing at the time and what we've got going. Obviously, if we have more volume going through, then we'll pick up some extra people also. We
Okay.
just recently got a new CNC, so I think that's going to be online starting tomorrow. So we're going to need to hire some people to help run a couple of things. We've got some big projects coming up. Some of the things that we do that people haven't thought about recently is collaborations.
Yeah.
So we will work with other name brand companies. Collaboration we did recently was with a company called Best Made. They're a mail order catalog, and we had done some stuff especially for them. They're custom projects. We did a portable writing desk for them. We did
So
a
cool.
campaign chest, great big item. We did a standalone kind of bar area for them. We
Wow.
did several types of things. So, and we've been in most of the magazines over the years. We've been in Brookstone. We've been in, I think we had a spread in Sharper Image at one point. Harrington was a magazine that we used to be in. Sporty's Preferred Living we're in right now. A.G. Russell Catalog of Knives. Garrett Wade
Oh,
is a big
nice.
customer of ours.
Yes.
So
And
we,
so do you have like a design team that comes up with these like crazy, it's you. Okay.
me and my brother,
Wow.
my VP of operations, who's Bert Wilson, I
Okay.
will give him an idea. Scott will give him an idea and he'll turn it into reality. So
Wow.
he and I and my husband actually hold a patent on a chest that we've done called a knife niche. So that's something that we're finding. They're working on finding a partner. If you know anybody in restaurant type things, or like a
Okay.
Williams Sonoma, that type of thing. So
Wow.
yeah,
And so can you talk about what that
yeah,
actually is? Okay, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's
It's
fine.
it's actually cutting board and knife storage all in one.
A cutting
So it
store.
is every time when you're chopping up some stuff, when you're in the kitchen, you find a knife and then you go, okay, where's the cutting board?
Yeah.
They're never exactly in the same place. You've got a knife in a drawer, a knife in a block or something, and then the cutting board is somewhere else. It could be close by, but why wouldn't you have the knives and the cutting board all in the same place? Because
Yes.
that's just efficiency. And let's face it, I probably have 25 or 30 different specialty knives, all for different things. But I
Yes.
have four go-tos,
Yeah.
so if there's something that I'm doing, I want those four right at hand. Well, this will hold four or five right in there. And it's a one-handed operation where the board actually sits and covers up the items that are on a magnetic bar on the inside, and you lift up a little edge and pull the board out, and you can actually affix that against a wall. You can sit it right up on the counter. You could affix it to the edge of an island. You could put it in an RV.
That's
You
what I
could
was
put it
thinking is an
in a space
RV.
saver.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a space saver. So once
Cool.
again, that's one of those things we just need to find the right partner, whether we talk to Winnebago or something like that. So it's an idea. We have a patent. We got it patented. And now it just needs to find a home.
Wow,
So
that is a lot of work to get a patent, I would imagine. I
yeah,
just
yeah.
got a process of mine trademarked, a product that I create here in the studio, and just getting like a state trademark was a process. So I can only imagine a patent process. Was that something that you guys had done before?
We've patented some things before in the
Okay.
past.
Wow,
We
that's so
patented
cool.
things. We actually bought a patent also, the lid pin system that
Okay.
where it folds up and the pin goes down into the lid. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that Harry Gerstner had either bought the patent or acquired the rights of the patent from the person that had actually created it back. I believe it was 1917.
But did you ever get to meet your great
Mhm,
grandfather? And do you
I
have any
did.
memorable stories of being with him or?
I have. He was very old and I was very young,
Yes,
and I
same,
remember
yeah.
he gave me this little itty bitty barking dog, and
Okay.
probably date myself, but they used to come. It was a little mechanical dog that you could put on the ground, and it would walk like two or three steps, and it was attached to a wire where you had a little remote on it, so it wasn't wireless or anything like that, but it was really cool, and it would walk and it would, and it'd
Yes.
walk again. And so I
Yes, I
remember him
remember
giving me
those.
that. But I
That's
remember his wife a lot longer because Emma outlived him and
okay.
lived for quite a bit longer. But I have more memories of her.
Yeah.
But I did, meet Harry, and I got to spend a little bit of time with him before he passed away. So he
That's
passed
so
away.
cool.
I think he passed away in 73. Don't quote me on that. But so I
Wow.
would have I would have only been about 4 years old or so. 73 or
Wow.
74, 4 or 5. So
Did your dad and mom like speak about stories about him? I mean, I'm sure they grew up watching him like basically build this company from the ground up. Is there any story that
my dad,
really
yeah, my
speaks
dad
out to
worked in the
you?
factory as a kid.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he kind of made woodworking a passion. So
Yeah.
that was something that he had always wanted to work with Gershner or take over Gershner or buy Gershner, or however that was going to be.
Wow.
His dad was actually working with Gershner also
Okay.
before he died. I never met my grandfather. He died when my dad was 19. He was kind of in line, being groomed kind of to take over and run things when Harry retired, but he
Yeah.
passed away suddenly when he was
Mm.
50. So
Oh, wow.
the story's kind of funny. I have to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Harry named H. Gerstner and Sons partly. There's two schools of thought. It's either partly because he wanted to sound established in
Yes.
business and he wanted to have kind of a legacy thing, but his father was named Herman Gerstner,
Okay.
and he learned woodworking from his father, who was a cooper. So he rented early space from the cooperage when he was building some of his earliest chests,
Okay.
and he had actually his brother was employed and his sister helped out with, so it was H. Gershner and Sons was rather loosely termed. By
Yeah.
the time he was never married or anything, but by the time he got married and ended up having children, he had three daughters. So
That's what I saw. I saw that on his website. I thought that was so
was
funny. It's
the
like,
only Gershner.
yes, you can't plan for son. You can't plan that kind of thing.
Gershner and kids.
Yes, yes.
Gershner
So
descendants.
had all
Gershner at home.
three girls instead of three
Cool.
boys. And
But
so that first chest, where is that? Do you guys have that there at the factory or?
we have the first chest that he ever built himself. We don't know where the portable one is that he sold off of was,
Okay.
because he was actually a pattern maker. So as he was going through his apprenticeship, he did not like what was on the market as far as tool chests, so he built his own.
Wow.
And other people started saying, well, that's really pretty nice. That's actually got some features that, some of these other things don't have. I think I'd like to have one of those. And
Hmm.
after he finished his apprenticeship, after 4 years, he got $100 bonus, and he asked his boss for a raise. And the boss said, no, I mean, you're making top wages. He was making 10 cents an hour. at the time. And he said, no, I can't afford to give you a raise. So he quit and started the company with his $100 bonus.
I saw on your website it said at one point, like, if somebody came in for a job, they basically were hired on the spot if they brought one of those chests because they were considered a high quality craftsman at that point, which is such a compliment to your company. Like,
Right.
wow.
They were considered the Cadillac of tool chests. And
Yeah,
that's back when, a Cadillac,
was
early
the
on
thing.
cars. Yeah,
Yeah,
early on cars. If you had a Cadillac, oh boy.
yeah.
So, and we still hear that terminology, it's the Cadillac of tool
You're
chests.
right, right. Well, this
So,
might be an obscure question, but what I was going to say before we hit record was I loved what actually drew me to your brand was the actual font of the word, like what's behind you on the screen right now. And do you have any knowledge of who created that logo for you guys?
oh gosh, that's been on the company. I think Harry created it because we
Wow.
dug out some really old letterhead and it
Yeah.
was his handwriting looked a lot like that because it
Yes.
looks like the scroll and almost calligraphy style handwriting. So
Wow.
we've got a lot of the way they used to dictate things is somebody would write in a letter or type in a letter, and then Harry would write his reply on the back and have the secretary type it back to send it back.
Okay.
So in the archives, we have a lot of those letters that had been going back and forth. We've got a lot of correspondence back and forth from Gershner to Sterrett way back
Yeah.
when.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of sort of the biggies,
Yeah.
back and forth, all talked and all collaborated. We made a chest for Sterrett in the 1960s, late 50s and early 60s. So,
Wow. And so, not to jump back to what we were saying before, but when you hire somebody to your team, are they generally woodworkers to begin with, or are you guys doing like an apprenticeship thing where you're training them like how obviously there's things that you do that are how you do them, but like are these people just off the street like and you're training them in this profession or
it can be a little bit of both. I mean, it's
okay.
helpful if they've had some woodworking knowledge. It's not required. It depends upon what
Mhm.
we need them to do, but
Of course,
it's
yeah.
not totally required. But there's a school of thought also that sometimes if you hire somebody, it's maybe better that they don't know what they're doing
Mm-hmm.
because they don't come with preconceived notions about how things should be done, not
Yes.
how we do things. So
Yes.
it's we
Yes.
have an internal saying around here. Everybody really likes what they do and they really like what we build and they try for kind of perfection, but we are in a production facility.
Mm.
So I can't if there's a particular chest and it's supposed to move through the factory in let's say 24 hours, the actual
Mm.
build time. I mean, it takes 2 to 3 weeks to run it through the factory, but the actual hands-on time when something is being done to said chest, if it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to take 24 hours, it's priced as such that it's supposed to take 24 hours. Well, if somebody screws around with it because something's not quite right and it ends up taking 26 hours, I cannot change the price forward facing to the customer. So
Right.
just
Right.
because that took a little longer. So we sometimes have what we call quality beyond control. So
I love that. Oh my
it's a
gosh.
little bit of guys, at some point you got to give up. You got to move on. You set that one off to the side. That's what we call a second. Let's
Oh,
give up
wow.
on let's give up on that one. So
That's fantastic. Man, you can apply that to so many professions. I'm thinking like body work and I mean,
yep.
there's so many things like, oh my gosh, I love that. And I like that it was like perfection and production. Like, how do you put those two things into a piece because anybody that's a creative entrepreneur has that mentality of like I want this bespoke thing, this one-off item to be perfect, but I also need to have production within my company or else you're not making money. So how
Right.
do you balance that like especially with the team?
It's interesting when we make things that are one-offs, we have to be especially careful. And there's sometimes that we'll make two of something, just so by
Okay.
the time that we have the final piece that we have, in case a drawer didn't quite go right, that we've got another one that we can replace it with. We
Oh,
did a really large project that was I think it was 72 drawers in it, and it was 7 feet tall, 4 feet wide, about 2.5 feet deep. We built it in four different sections, but I've got a photo of it somewhere of me standing next to it. And we ended up building two of them because we just did not want to have anything go wrong. I mean, by the time we did this, and we told the guy we would build it, but we absolutely would refuse to ship it. He had to come get it.
yeah.
So He was from Florida and he saw the second one and he basically said, I hate you guys. He said, I can't let anybody else have this other one. So, he ended up buying both of them.
Oh,
So and they were gun storage is what they were. And the one thing that he said, the only thing that I wish that I would have done differently is the ones that were higher up. I wish that I would have had you put lucite in the bottom so that I could see what was in them. The ones that were way
yes.
over my head.
Yes.
And
Wow,
in one
that's
of
my favorite post that you did make recently on your blog page was about the recent tariff situation happening, and you were like, who cares? We don't need to worry about this right now.
we've never gone anywhere. I mean, I have
Yeah.
an import division that basically was created to compete with the knockoffs.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, you mentioned Harbor Freight earlier. They're a 100% knockoff and a very poorly done one at that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, it's maddening because then people will say, "Oh, well, look, your boxes are in Harbor Freight." And I said, "Really? Why don't you put them side by side and say that again?"
Absolutely. Absolutely. And use them
Not
for
even
more
close.
than a day. Yeah.
Right. Not even
Yeah.
close. So we came up with an import division also. So yeah,
Really.
the tariffs, I mean, it hurt the import division a little bit and that becomes a little bit of instability. But in the grand scheme of things, we only created that division to fight off what was being copied and we were getting blamed on the garbage that was out there. So, I mean, we
Wow.
had people calling us up and my import division is 20 years old. So, I mean, it speaks for itself. It
Yes.
just, you don't get to where you are and how old you are by making crap.
That is so true.
It's
That is so true.
just a fact. So,
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's amazing. I think that is such a, and like you said in your post, like companies are trying to use that whole concept of like, well, I'm American made, I also am, and they're trying to use that as like a trendy brand thing now. And it's like, are you though? Because like we've been
mhm.
around for 100 and something years, and so you guys are the real deal, I guess is what I'm trying to
We hit
say.
120 next year.
Wow,
So,
that's amazing. And so I was just
yes,
thinking
I would
with
say 98% of the parts that we use are, USA parts.
And so when you guys do make a double like that, just for acts, just in case sake or whatever, are you normally selling the second one also if it's met standard, or what do you do with that second one usually?
We'll put it in our showroom and we'll sell it, or we have a warehouse sale once a year and we'll sell it. It'll stay in our samples for a while.
Okay,
It's not something that would ever make it to our website or anything else. It would be a private sale to
gotcha.
somebody. It
And
doesn't
so
become, something that's very well known. So
yeah,
it's
of
interesting
course.
because we'll see. We used to date the chests. We used to have a service to do that because people are constantly there's a huge aftermarket for these used chests. And we get
Really?
bombarded every single day with questions. How old is my chest? When was it built? When was this? When was that? And it's no offense, but I'm not in business to tell people how old their chests are. We're in business to make new ones.
Yes, you're
So
not a historian.
how do you balance, yeah, how do you balance, being nice about it and saying, well, thank you very much, and you bought a used chest, but well, you really haven't done anything for me lately. That
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we do sell the hardware. I mean, we do sell restoration hardware. We do
Okay.
restorations here also. It's not inexpensive and it's
Yeah,
not meant to be. I mean,
absolutely.
just face it, when you build something that outlasts you, you don't really have to buy another one.
That's right. That's
So
that's how
it's
America
like
was built.
no planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
So we're not like a iPhone or something that, they build it to destroy itself in 2 years. I
Mm.
mean, because it's or less. I mean, they literally only build them to last that long.
Yes.
And I find it mind-boggling that people, I mean, don't get me wrong, Apple is probably a better marketing company than they are a manufacturing,
Mm.
company. But they literally get people to get on the hook for thousands of dollars every couple of years.
Hmm.
I don't understand
That makes me want to ask you a question. We both come from like a situation where like we're making one-off products. So like
Mhm.
I'm making a piece of art, usually custom for a certain place in someone's house. Well, sorry, my dog's barking if anyone can hear that. But then also you guys are making in the sense of your custom ones, you're making one-off products. So how do you, knowing your sales and marketing background, how are you marketing that so are you wanting that customer to come back to you and buy other products you offer, or forgive me for not asking this the best way, but I guess like in your marketing background, like are you trying to keep that customer in your hemisphere for a long period of time, or are you like, okay, here's our product that's going to last you for the rest of your life and have a nice one?
Ideally, yeah, ideally we would like for them to become a customer, and that's why we've branched out into so many different things. Okay,
Okay,
so
yes.
you bought a chest and you're going to use it for fly tying. Okay,
Yes.
does your wife have jewelry? What does
Yes.
she put it in? Do your kids have hobbies? I mean, what do they do? Do
Yes.
you have people that you know, possibly their kids that are getting married?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a nice housewarming gift? So once somebody has experienced the quality, it's a little easier for them to see this as potentially a gift item or potentially,
Yes.
something that they could lead some people onto. I mean, I'll have customers that are older that, hey, I was on the bench. I used this chest for, 45 years while I was working, and my kids all want it. And I've just decided, I'm tired of them, fighting around for it. One of these days they'll get it, but I'm just going to go ahead and buy each of them one so they each have one.
Hmm.
So it's a customer that can come back. There is the one and dones, and
Yes.
that's quite a majority of what we have. But then there's
Yeah.
also, kind of the Gerstner collection. So we've gotten into live edge tables and furniture and stuff like that. So I mean, we're
Wow.
morphing into, we don't just make a box. I mean, we make a
Yeah.
box, but we
Yeah.
make more than a box, beyond the box, basically. So
Yes.
just sort of a collection of things that can go in your house. We have built all sorts of things. I've got so many things in my house that's Gershner that's not even funny. I
That's
mean,
amazing. And so do
I
you
had a
have,
horse at one point, so I built a tack trunk,
wow,
So
wow. Well, going back to your experience in the like actually working in the workshop and everything, do you have a favorite part of the process that you like enjoyed the most or that you felt like the best at?
I tell you what I'm really good at, and there's a lot of people that hate it here, is the process of putting the felt in the drawers and in the
Oh,
chest. The machine that we have, this glue machine, is persnickety, and
okay.
not a lot of people can master it. So it's an old, we use a hide glue. So you have to melt it down, and then you constantly have to add a little bit of water to it to get it the right consistency because it's a hot glue.
Okay.
So it goes through this big pan machine that has a couple of rollers on it. So the rollers are constantly going, and you have to constantly kind of pour water over it a little bit to keep the glue the right viscosity, because as as the day gets hotter and stuff, it evaporates some of the water, and you don't want it to gum up the little wheels and stuff. So we have felt that's very stiff, and we
Okay.
have it sized. So we have what's a sifter already put into it, and it's not like a craft felt. I have probably a piece around here somewhere,
Yeah.
but it's not like a craft felt. It's something that it's very stiff, so I can put it through the rollers and it stays nice and stiff. And then you get it out the other side and you put it in, and you can smooth it all down with the little smoothing tool that we have, and
Yeah.
then move on to the next one and keep going. Well, and meanwhile, you got to keep wiping your fingers off and everything, or else you're just going to be a sticky mess.
Yes.
And that machine, I can actually click with that machine, and there's not a lot of people that can.
That sounds
So
so stressful. It sounds like I hate matting something because I always have like a dog hair or like a little piece of lint on my fingers that I don't see, and it's just so stress. So I could, yeah, that stresses me out even listening to you talk about it. But that's amazing, and so you guys can like do all different color felts and stuff. I saw as
uh-huh.
well, right? Yeah, that's so cool. And so
Five standard ones.
okay,
Uh,
okay,
but if somebody wants something custom, we can do that also. We also work with jewelry chest velours and all
okay.
kinds of different materials. We've done kind of canvas before. We're
Oh,
working
that
with
would be
collaborating
cool.
with a company right now. I can't name who they are just yet, but we'll be doing some leather work, incorporating some of the leather work into the chests also. So
That would be beautiful. That machine you're talking about applying the glue, and I'm sure other machine are these machines like old, like from the
oh yeah,
time? Really? So the machines
oh
are
yeah.
era
This
correct as well.
This, yeah, this glue machine. I mean, I think we have another one that we can use for parts and stuff, but we have no idea where to get something else short of having somebody create it from scratch. They don't exist
Holy.
anymore. So
Wow.
we've got in our tool room, you can still see some of the motors that are connected to the ceiling that
Mhm.
were the old belt drive systems for some of the table saws,
Yes.
because Harry created his first table saw by taking a motor out of a washing machine.
Oh
So,
man, people were so ingenious back then.
yep, inventive, you
Inventive,
know,
100%.
yep. It was
That's so
necessity was the mother of invention.
I love hearing your passion behind all of this. I think it's just so, so special that you're third, fourth generation and you just are here loving it as much as the person that created it. I think it's so inspiring to me to hear you talk.
Podcasts and social media and stuff. I mean, that's where we really have to grassroots get the word out.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just, I mean, we don't have a budget to be Rolex and, have, slick ads all over the place and things like
Yeah.
that. But with the tool chests have gone onto yachts, they've gone onto boats, they've gone onto, airplanes, they've, been around high-end cars. I mean, think the Gentleman Racer. I mean,
Hmm.
Michael is, he's doing a lot of marketing for us and things like that. So,
Absolutely.
it's just, it really is sort of a word of mouth. Hey, have you seen one of those? Oh my gosh, yeah, my dad had one of those, or my grandfather had one of those. Those people are still around. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're still around. Yep, still around. You
Yeah,
know,
and do you guys have, obviously, I'm sure you have a specific age range for sales, but for getting people interested, there really is no age range that you need to really focus on. But do you have a hard time getting the younger generation interested in it?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it usually has to be somebody that is doing something with their hands.
Yeah.
That they've got some sort of a hobby, whether it's fly tying, whether it's gunsmithing, whether it's, it's doing something with your hands, or they've got a
Hmm.
hobby that has, stuff. It's got
Yeah.
lots of parts.
Yeah.
And when you have hobbies that have parts and stuff, and if you're married, that tends to be a source of contention a lot of times, because where are you putting your stuff? Your stuff is everywhere. Please put it away. So this is
That's
the
awesome.
perfect, you can put it away, but you can still leave it out type of thing.
Yes, because it's
So, I mean,
beautiful.
one of these chests can sit in a living room just fine,
Oh, yeah.
and it becomes functional art.
Oh,
So,
100%. Yeah,
so
100%.
it's not, I mean, no offense to Kennedy, but it's not the metal Kennedy that's sitting in the middle of the living room that gets the
Hmm.
attention. It's going to be a Gershner.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and that's something that people are like, oh, hey, that's cool. What do you use
Yeah.
that for? But at the same time, I can be set up in a trade show, and if I don't have something inside of the drawers, people walk right by and say, gosh, these are beautiful, but what do you use them for?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
don't you use them for is the better question.
Yeah,
So,
well, I think that's why your job is probably the most important, c- I guess, facet there now, because you're trying to show people, like, yes, when we had horse and buggy, this was a daily item, but like now it's like you said earlier, it's become this luxury thing, which really it's not. It's not a luxury thing to have a place to carry your art pencils or your tools of any kind, but yeah, to market it so that you can like see it used in all these different aspects of life is just so cool. And I think the first time I saw it was the whiskey or the humidor whiskey type box, either one, I can't
oh
remember, but
yeah,
it was
travel bar.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so I was like, this would be an amazing gift for somebody, somebody
party
that
in a
is
bar.
interested in that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I always like to ask, I think you're probably one of the best people ever to ask this question to, but what do you think, in your experience and your family legacy, what do you think defines good craftsmanship?
Passion.
Passion.
The
Yes.
number one thing. And it's funny, you talked earlier about trademarks. We just recently acquired the trademark on the phrase craftsmanship lives.
Oh,
So
congrats.
we've actually trademarked that. And it's all about passion. If you have a passion for what you're doing, I don't care what you do, it shows.
Hmm.
So when you're creating something with your hands and you have a passion for it, it comes through. So when you have people that are passionate about what you do, whether it's an employee, whether you're the owner, whether, it's the guy doing the mailroom, it's, if you have a passion for your job, it comes through. And it shows in the product that's created. There's not a lot of people that work at a job these days that creates much of anything.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
my husband's a perfect example. He said in his entire lifetime, he doesn't think he's ever worked for a company that creates anything.
Hmm.
It's just, he's in finance. He's in an industry. They
Hmm.
don't produce anything.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Hmm.
they don't make anything tangible, is what I should
Yeah.
say. So, something that's tangible, there's a lot of people that don't ever participate in creating something that's tangible. So
Yes.
that's
Yes, I think
craft.
about a photographer that I just spoke to. His episode is currently live, but he said something that resonated, I think, with a lot of younger generation, especially is like he's a photographer and a digital videographer, and there was something special about him still printing the photos because
Hmm.
he had this long standing career of seeing his work digitally 100% of the time. And then when he started to offer prints, he was like, there's just something different there. Like I can see the
Hmm.
same photo on the screen, but then I can see it in my hands, and it just meant so much more. And
Hmm.
I 100% feel that way. Like I think about all of the photos we all currently have on our phone that we never even look through. But like as a kid, my mom had really terribly done photo albums of like, all the like crappy pictures we had taken that we didn't get to see when the pictures were taken. So it's like,
No, no, it was not the instant gratification. It was you have to
yeah,
take it to the little photo mart or whatever and painfully wait for those, three
yeah,
to
I
five
miss
days,
that.
whatever it was. And then,
Hmm.
you were lucky if you got 5 good pictures out of a roll of 36, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but you got to relive that moment like
You
weeks
did. You
later.
did.
And I think
Because
that
you're holding the photo. You're right. I mean, if
yes.
the average person can look on their phone and have thousands of photos in there, do they
Yes.
ever bother to print any of them?
Hardly
I
ever.
mean, I do. I actually go through and I print some of them, and then from our vacations and stuff like that, and then I'll have a wall, down the hallway. That was something that actually my husband gave me for Christmas one year. Is I was away right before Christmas, and then I came home, and the entire wall had been wrapped in tissue paper and in gift wrap, and I
Okay.
was like, what is that? Well, come Christmas Day, I peeled it back and he had gone to thrift stores and stuff like that and got all these funky different frames. And then he had printed out all of these memories from vacations that we had done and stuff like that. So, I mean,
I would have been a blubbering mess.
I was.
Yeah.
I was. And I was like, that is probably one of the most thoughtful gifts anybody has ever given me. It is
100%.
because you walk down the hallway and you're instantly transported back to what you were doing at that time. So I can totally relate to what the photographer was saying is like, pictures are all great, but when you print it, it has a whole nother level of meaning.
Yeah, and do you find that you connect better? I know you said you don't do often trade shows often anymore, but when somebody can like feel and open the drawers, and do you feel like you connect better that way?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. You really do. I mean,
Yeah.
you can connect with people. I mean, and there's a lot of times that's where we end up finding a lot of our collaborations. It just, you
Really?
have to weigh. That's exactly how we got the collaboration with Best Made. I ended up meeting Peter at the Shooting and Hunting Outdoor Trade Show. He
Wow.
walked up to me. His mother had had a Gerstner chest. And so he had always known about Gerstner. And he said, I got this idea, I got this idea
Wow.
that, we could do a collaboration. Sure. We'll give anything a whirl once. So,
Yeah, that's such a good testament to the trade show deal because I think a lot of people get kind of I mean, they get wore out because trade shows are so much work and they are not always money back in your pocket. If anything, they're money out 100% of the time, and then you
right.
wait, 2 or 3 months, a year until that person you met at the trade show gets back to you.
Mhm.
But that in-person connection, someone seeing your product in person
Yep.
makes
It's
all
invaluable.
the difference. It is truly invaluable.
It is.
Um,
It just, you have to choose where you're going to throw away your ten to $15,000 each time you do a show. Because with my stuff,
100%.
with my stuff, I've got to ship it there. I've got to unpack it. I've got to load it. I typically do the shows by myself.
Oh,
So
God
I have
bless
either
you.
a 10 by 10 or a 10 to 20, and I'm loading in and out anywhere from 900 to 1,500 pounds. Myself doing these shows, and they're
Yes.
anywhere from 3 to 7 days sometimes. Every
Yes.
once in a while, my husband will go with me, and I'll get help and stuff like that. But
Wow.
it is wearing.
I
It is
I can
wearing.
imagine. Yeah. And
So.
I can totally imagine.
I
If
do,
you
and I talk to people, but it's still funny. Just like the phone calls that we get, 90% of the people walk by and go, "My dad had one of these. I was never smart enough to buy one. My dad had one, and I have his."
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Like,
Wow.
okay, we thank you for that, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I need a key. Do you guys sell keys?" Sure do, you know.
Wow. That's so cool. So that's
So
cool.
yeah, but connecting with people, I mean, a picture of anything is great. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at clothing online and you buy off the picture. But
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
reality, the reality is rarely exactly what you see in the picture. We're
Yeah.
one of the only products that people will buy this off of a picture. They'll get it and they'll be blown away.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, the picture does not even do this justice.
Yes.
Not at all. You know,
Yes.
we're very happy about that. And I actually make it a point of pride that when we do photographs,
Yeah.
I just pull something from stock and I ship it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
That's
oh, you don't want to
amazing.
look it over to make sure that, the grain is all nice and everything. And I'm like, no, if I can't just take something out of stock and have that be, in an ad or something like that, then what are we in business for?
That's a good testament to your company. I would love to talk to you about like I don't and you we can cut this out if you don't want to add it in here, but like the pricing of a product like what you offer going from something in 1906 to something in 2025. How do you even go about pricing these? Like they're just so special and so handmade. I would just love to hear how you went about like the evolution of your pricing and then how it's determined.
Well, there was a sort of secret sauce recipe to that, and it's
Oh,
still the
okay.
same.
No way.
Harry Gerstner, it's roughly the same if you do the
That's
math the same way.
okay.
Harry Gerstner had decided that he thought that a week's wages was a fair price for a chest.
Okay.
So back when he was building the chests, remember he was making 10 cents an hour
Yes.
and he was working 60 hours because a work week was 60 hours. It was not 40 hours. So the first tool chests that he sold were $6.
Oh
So if
my
you
gosh.
take that same recipe and you take somebody, maybe that's in a union or something, and you take their paycheck and give them 20 hours of overtime, if they want to make up that 60 hours, they can more than buy anything that we sell.
That is incredible.
So
Wow.
it's kind of the same.
Yes.
Now there's a little more that goes into it, obviously. I mean, we've got to take into effect, what is overhead, what is the materials cost, what is,
Right.
how much time does one chest take versus another, but that's still, if you apply that same logic to something,
The
and you
base.
basically
Yeah.
take somebody's 40-hour paycheck and do 20
Hmm.
hours of overtime, they've got pretty much anything that they want to get from us.
That's so cool. What a cool, simple answer. I did not see that coming. I love that. Well, so, how, if somebody is purchasing a box, you know, in creative entrepreneurship, I always like to think pretty much everybody I've spoke to has like the best warranty you could possibly think of because they want their reputation is on the line and they want to make sure that customer is happy. Do you guys have a warranty program or how do you handle like a customer that is unhappy or have you ever had one?
We have customers that are unhappy. We have a 1 year parts and labor,
Parts and
warranty. I mean,
labor. Okay.
we do parts and labor, but outside of that, if something drastic happens,
Mhm.
give us a call and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
We've gone so far as to trade in a box, 10 years later, if
Wow.
something has happened to it, if they would like to upgrade to a different box, we'll give them so much credit towards that if they send us the old box back.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I literally dealt with a lady just within the last month that she had bought something 3 years ago
Oh,
and had it out, didn't really like it, happened to
what?
see where she wasn't sure why she didn't like it, but she happened to see, we introduced a new walnut. We've got three different kind of walnuts that we do. We have a natural walnut, we have a rustic walnut, and we have a dark walnut. Well, rustic walnut is something that we just introduced because walnut in and of itself is not a very clear board. And when I
Okay.
say that, I mean there's a lot of heartwood that can happen, which it shows up as almost white. There's a lot of very dark wood. So within a singular board, we were having to cut around these white pieces to get this nice uniform look.
Oh,
Well, we
wow.
decided to go ahead and utilize more of the board and introduce what we call rustic walnut. So
Hmm.
those chests are just a wild assortment of colors, all within walnut that happens. So they're just random.
Yeah.
Well, she saw the explanation on the blog that we did about walnut. And then she realized that she actually had received a dark walnut chest when she had ordered a natural walnut.
Okay.
We went back and looked at the records, and in fact, she was correct. So she was shipped the wrong thing, but she'd been using it for 3 years. And we said, as long as you pay the shipping, because this was an error, but this is 3 years later. I mean, come on, lady.
Yeah.
So I mean, as long as you pay the shipping, we'll go ahead and exchange it and give you a new one.
Wow,
So,
that's
I
incredible.
mean, that's 3 years after the fact. So,
So this just brought up a random question while you were talking about this, but when you're talking about cutting around portions of the wood that is not wanted, it's still probably pretty nice wood. Do you guys have a lot of leftovers that like do you use those things for something? Do you recycle them into mold? Like what is any small anything? No.
I mean, we're trying to do some other little projects. We have a cocktail smoker that takes
Yes.
care of a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of some of that stuff.
Okay.
We've been trying to come up with things. We have some of the best dumpster divers in town.
I
So
can imagine.
people
Yeah.
that had like turn pens and things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll come out, and especially in the summertime, we'll look out there and there's people in the dumpster basically, sorting through some stuff. We have a lot of our trash is excellent wood.
Yeah.
But it's nothing. And when I lived closer, I live in Tennessee now, but when I lived closer, I used to take a bunch of the random kind of off-fall stuff and take it home. It's best kindling in town.
Oh, I'm
So
sure.
just light a match. It's kiln
Yeah.
dried.
Oh,
So,
wow. Well, I was
so
thinking
plus
like,
we have cherry and I mean, we have cherry and stuff like that. So, I mean, you smoke it with the meats and stuff like that. We
yes.
tried to bundle some of it and sell it as kindling or parts or whatever. And we just ended up with so much stuff that there was no place
Really?
to store the stuff. I mean, we couldn't sell it fast enough. We couldn't, I mean, have enough
Mhm.
space to be able to sell it and stuff. So I mean, for a while there before we decided to do some of these economies and things like that, we probably had about a 50% yield of our lumber. So
Holy cow.
50% of it was not usable.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. I
But
cannot imagine.
that's the quality.
Yeah.
So I mean
Yeah.
that's not some of the stuff that's coming in from overseas. They just, like I don't know if you've traveled over there, but they, when they eat a pig, they eat every part of the pig,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
it's just like, when they build a box, they use every part of the wood. It doesn't matter what it looks like, you know.
Yeah. Well, the
So
irony to me is that somebody will hear this and they'll be like, well, that's not very recyclable or whatever. But then they're receiving a box from Amazon that is a boxed item within a box from Amazon that also has a box that tells you that it's eco-friendly. And I'm like,
yeah,
why is this one
3 bucks.
singular water filter in four cardboard boxes the size of my computer? This is so wasteful. And so,
Right.
no shame on you at all. I was just thinking like something silly, like, oh, you guys could do like ornaments or pen,
We
something
have.
crafty
We
like
have.
that,
Yeah.
But
We've done ornaments. We've run little things. We've done little projects. We have a
yeah,
warehouse sale every year.
yeah.
So we will have lumber and stuff like that out there. So pieces, parts for sale. We actually, our wood is all used from sustainably sourced resources also.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
all of our forests, all of our stuff is certified from sustainable sources. And it has been since before this was a thing. I mean,
Before it was
before this
trendy.
was the latest buzzword, is this responsibly, is this sustainably sourced, and then I have all of these people that, eh, I'll be in politically incorrect tree huggers, if you will,
Mhm.
basically saying you're killing a tree, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, I'm not creating paper that you type on that somebody throws away. I am
Mhm.
creating something that is actually an heirloom that will be passed down and will last longer than probably any piece of furniture you have in your house.
Oh,
Creating something that is the ultimate sustainable thing.
I love
So
that.
I am using, what God created as a tree, as a craftsman, turning it into something that is even more beautiful, than what it started out as, while honoring what it was before and not changing it into something else and just reimagining it into something different.
That's
So,
incredible. That's a beautiful description. Wow, it's so true. That is so true. I don't know if you've ever watched the Magnolia Network, but they have a show on there called The Craftsman, which is kind of it's following a story of a woodworker up in Northern California, and he has a very similar sentiment about I mean, he essentially came from the hippie era where they were the tree huggers, the loving nature people, but he would cut those trees down and even redwoods too, and he would build this incredible furniture out of it. And he was like, this is like sustainability at its finest. It's like driving an old car, in my opinion. Like protecting the earth because I am not the one that's driving a car that's being turned over and used 6 years in and I'm done with it,
right,
even though it's completely
right,
fine. We're fixing, and I was always raised that way. It's like, take care of what you
right.
have, it'll last forever.
Two of
That's
our
getting
cars are
harder and
20 years
harder
old. Yeah. I
to
mean, two
do.
of our cars are 20 years old. So, I mean,
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah.
but I can't, And people say, well, I mean, your chests are so expensive. And I'll have a guy come in that probably he'll tell me, okay, well, I bought my chest. I've been on the bench for 40 some odd years. And I'll look at him and I'll say, okay, so you bought that chest then, I'm going to say in the late 70s or so. And he'll say, yeah. And I'll say, so that chest in the late 70s probably cost you somewhere between $75 and $195. He's like, how do you know that? I said, well, I'm the resident historian and I have all the catalogs and the price list. But I mean, basically, I said, you know why you remember that? And he goes, no. And I said, was that about your salary for a week? And he goes, yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.
There you go.
That's cool. That's very
why you remember it. It was a little painful buying it then.
Yeah.
But you're proud of it. You
Yes.
take care of it. It's, it's a piece of something that you utilized every single day. Are you still driving that same car that you had 40 years ago?
Yeah.
Bet you're not.
Yeah.
Exactly. I bet there's nothing in your life that you're using on a daily basis for 45 years that still functions the way it was intended.
Yes.
I'm going to say maybe you bought a key.
Yeah.
I don't think anything on that thing is broken unless, a spring is broken in the latch, in which case you probably ordered a spring from us. So It's just, we've created something that lasts almost too well.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Well, that goes back to my point. I'm like, how do you keep customers?
They can make a light bulb that lasts 50 years. They don't. It's just, like I said, we don't have any built-in obsolescence. I don't believe in building something that will break or that will fail at some point just so that you can get a repeat customer.
Yes. And I can't wait to hear your answer on this, because being a generational business, and I'm sure you're talking about this all the time, whether it's podcasts, blogs, social media, you're talking constantly about it. And then before you were doing this role, you were in the business working with your hands. Do you ever experience burnout?
I would say yes. And the only reason that I experience burnout is sometimes dealing with people.
Yes.
So that is the burnout that I can get. And some of it even comes from the social media aspect of it. Because every time somebody comments on one of our posts, our reels, our anything, that notification goes straight to my phone 24/7. So, and I try to respond to some things and I try to keep a hold of things and stuff like that. And there's recently, we had to take down a post that was going viral. All of a sudden on a Saturday night, it just spiked and I started getting all of these things and people were saying some pretty hateful things. And it went up to 300,000 views and I had to shut it down. So I had to take it down, but everybody is an armchair quarterback. Everybody can second guess how they would make something, how they would do it, and how we're doing it wrong, and how it's this and how it's that. And you feel like just tearing your hair out and saying, listen, you a-hole. I mean, do you run a company that's 120 years old? No, shut up. Yes. If you don't, you don't know what you're talking about. So it just, and that's the thing where you just kind of want to chuck it down and say, is this really all worth it? Like, I totally get it. And then you have to regroup and say, okay, well, who knows what was going on in that guy's life today, but somebody obviously eating his Cheerios. So
yeah, exactly. No, exactly. And you have no idea.
I'm going to chalk it up to, they're lashing out because something's going wrong in their life, but still, then the little, behind the screen, the safe here, let me just hurl insults at you because there's no consequences starts going on. And it just, you feel like reaching through the screen and bashing somebody across the head.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so how do you deal with that feeling of burnout, knowing that this is like your exact role is to market the business?
I live in Tennessee. Did I mention that?
Yes. Oh, yes.
On a lake.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I live on a lake in Tennessee. So majority of my time is spent working from home there. So that's cool. I do have the luxury, at least, of being able to step outside, into an area that's completely quiet, that's nature filled. I live on about 5 acres. I can see one house from my house. And in my little subdivision is a marina down at the end. And, we've got a little runabout boat down there. So if the days are getting, a little bit to either myself or my husband, we just go and say, you know what, we need kind of a mental break. Let's, go take the boat out, or let's go play around the golf, or let's go, let's do something. Let's take a hike. Let's do something out in nature, do something, physical or whatever, and just do a little reset and then come back and be in a better frame of mind.
Yeah,
So,
that's really cool. And do you think, I know in our initial conversation back and forth we were talking about God, and do you kind of going in the thread of the burnout and bouncing back and needing rest, is there anything that your faith has taught you, or if you have faith, has it helped you in your business and the role that you're in now?
oh, 100%, because that's exactly the time when I'm starting to recognize that burnout. It's one of the things that I give it over to God. He's not going to give me more than I can take.
Mm,
But it's also, I feel it through him basically saying, time to go play golf.
hmm.
It's like time to
Step
reset.
back. Yes.
There's that little thing in the back of my mind that says, you're starting this work-life balance isn't quite working for you. You need a little more life and a little less work right at the moment.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
I feel very much so is, him speaking through me saying, okay, I understand, this is a family legacy and you're driven to make sure that this survives and it lasts, and you want, every piece that leaves the factory to put your best foot forward. I mean, your family, name is on it and
Hmm.
reputation and everything else, and you want everybody to like it. Not everybody will like it, and you just have to deal with that. But, you know, that's the balance, the stuff that we can then do in nature. And I mean, who can go out on a golf course and look all around them and question whether or not, this was created for us?
Yeah.
I don't I don't know who could say that it's not. I mean, it just that baffles my mind.
Oh,
So
I have the same feeling. Nature is the most humbling situation. I mean, my dad always says nature is the best church because of that exact reason. That's where he found God, and he was on a
yes,
backpacking
ultimate
trip.
proof. The ultimate proof he exists.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And then moving back to the podcast concept, I believe that like people that are creative, and I think all people are creative, but I think people that channel that creativity, whether it is in finance or whatever they're doing, or building, chess for 120 years, like that is another thing that I look at and say, oh my gosh, of course there's God. Like, look at these people. Look what they're making from nothing. Look at this creative being that is just building something from nothing, and in your case sustaining it and stewarding it so beautifully. Like, I think that's a good testament to your story, is you're stewarding it so well. And it's a heavy, I think it would probably, for me anyway, it seems like it would be a heavy burden. Now, I don't, burden's not the right word, but it's just big shoes to fill, I guess is a better way to say
yeah,
it.
I know what you mean, because I mean,
Yeah.
not only is it my family's legacy, it's every family that works for us.
Yes.
So, I mean, you have the responsibility of making sure that those people are life work balance and they're happy and that their families are great and things like that. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
having a small crew here is great. I mean, one of our crafts people who does our restorations and stuff is also an author.
Mm.
So, I mean, he's had a book published and he's working on his second. So,
Wow.
knowing what people are doing, outside of the work here and how their families are, and, hey, how are the kids doing? And oh my gosh, they're graduating, and oh wow, so and so's getting married. I mean, we had a couple of employees that got married, so,
Wow.
and their daughters ended up working here, and as receptionists and things like
Wow.
that. So it's we've had a father work here before, and then his son eventually grew up and worked in the business for us until he retired. So, I mean, we've had
Yeah.
generations of people working here, not Gershner family members. I mean,
Yeah.
just generations of other families that have made this, their life's work as well.
Yes, that's so special. And so your family as a little girl, like was God in your life? Were they talking about that? Obviously you come from an entrepreneurial family,
Not,
but were they
yeah, not as much in the forefront as it was in my later years.
in your life?
So
Okay.
it was, yes, we would go to church, but it was more of that's because you have to, not because you want to. It's
Okay.
go through confirmation, going through the motions and things like that. And I didn't really understand it on a personal nature until I was allowed to explore different ways and different
Mm.
venues. I mean,
Hmm.
so going to, my parents went to a Methodist church, and nothing against any particular denomination, but
Yes, of
I
course.
do a non-denominational church now,
Yes.
because I mean, I think the worst thing that ever happened to faith or anything else is organized religion.
I
I mean,
agree. Gosh, I totally agree.
it's, am I religious? Yes. Am I faith, based? Yes. That's,
Yes.
do I have to go into a building to prove it? No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain, certain ones believe that you can only talk to God through somebody else, through
Yeah.
a priest or something. I think that's about
Hmm.
the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's just if you want to have a conversation with God, have a conversation with God.
Yeah.
He's listening. You don't have
Yeah,
to talk
that's
to anybody.
yeah, that's why
You know?
Jesus died.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and it's just I had the benefit of graduating from a Catholic college, which was my choice.
Hmm.
And some of the most interesting classes that I had were world religion.
Hmm.
So learning about the different religions and learning about what they believed in and how they worshiped and things. I mean, I find it fascinating, but more people have fought and died and bloodshed and everything over religion than just about any other thing on the planet. And it's sad.
Yeah.
If you believe in God, whatever that means to you, then live and let be.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't understand why that's a hard concept.
Yes. Wow,
So,
it's a beautiful way to look at it. It's very true. I have a very similar sentiment when it comes to religion and relationship, that corny saying.
right.
You say passion is what you think makes good craftsmanship, but is there a trait that you believed your great grandfather had that helped him pursue this company and then moving forward, is there a trait you have that
Stubbornness.
I like that. I could
Stubbornness, the
see.
refusal to give up. I mean,
Yeah,
how many doors get slammed no before you get a yes?
a lot.
I mean, when you're in sales, I mean, face it, you've got to be stubborn. If you're
Yeah.
not stubborn and in sales, you're not a very good salesperson. That's just all there
Wow.
is to it. I mean, stubbornness, the refusal to give up, the refusal to
Yes.
say, no, the refusal to be defeated. I mean, COVID taught us, something. People are like, oh my gosh, are you going to make it through COVID? Well, we made it through World War One. We made it through World War Two. We made it through Korea. We made it through Vietnam. We made it through the World Trade Centers. We made it through both Gulf Wars.
The Great Depression.
The Great Depression. Yeah, actually, we did. We started a whole new
Wow.
division during the Great Depression. So it's we've made it through things. I don't think a little microscopic bug is going to kill us, but the government sure well dang tried. I mean, they claimed that we were a non-essential business, so we were not allowed to go to work. Our answer to that was my brother and his wife and his two kids came down here and kept this factory running, kept it shipping because they were quarantining together. You can't tell me that my entire family cannot go down and continue to run this factory.
Holy smokes. Wow. And did
Yep.
did you guys see any drop in sales at that point
We
or
saw a big increase in sales because everybody's stuck
increase?
at home. And what do you have to do? You have to organize.
Whoa. That's amazing. That's amazing how God works,
So
isn't it?
it was surprisingly, we had, a bit of a bump during that.
Holy cow.
So
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing. You're not the only person I've heard say that, and it's almost sad to me that it took that for people to just slow down and find a hobby. It's like so many people, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, obviously my hobby now is my career as an artist, so finding a hobby is it's kind of a weird situation over here, but there's a lot of people I know that don't really have like a creative outlet or a hobby of any kind. And so when COVID hit, they were like, "Oh, I'm really good at gardening," or "Oh, I'm really good at baking," or "Oh, I'm really good at embroidery." And it's like, you had this skill all along, but you didn't slow down enough.
slow down and take the time.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's a lot of here again, God's working in there also. It's what
Yes.
do you take out of this? You've been thrown a curveball in your life. What do you learn from it? What do you take out of it? Do you just sit there and you become a victim for the rest of your life and claim that, that robbed you of a year of your life or whatever? I mean, what do you take away from that?
Mm.
I mean, do you take away that you've got something now that you found, a passion that you had before that, now you carve out time for, whereby,
Mm.
you always claim that you never had enough time. How did you weather that quote unquote storm?
Kind of wrapping this up, I would love to talk to you. We've talked about a lot of hard things, and I would love to talk to you about a project that maybe plays like the biggest role as like something you're most proud of.
Ooh, um, that's a good question. I mean, it's kind of hard to pick just one.
That's okay.
Um, there's a couple of designs, that we've done that I'm pretty proud of. There's collaborations, kind of that are in the works that I can't really talk about that,
Mm,
may come to fruition this year or next, that I will be really proud of and will probably spark more. But working with some other legacy companies and stuff like that and leaning into history
yeah.
and things like that. I'm seeing a baby reoccurrence of that. the sustainability is kind of helping and the little buzzwords and things like
Yes.
that, but leaning into, hey, we've always been here, hey, there's sustainability and driving that forward. Also working with Michael at the Gentleman Racer and having him really bring to life some of our visions in stories and things
Mm.
like that. That I'm really kind of proud of is the collaboration that we've really done with him, because there's going to be a lot more things coming out. He came up and did some filming of not only myself and my team and everything else, but I had some customers come in and speak with him one-on-one about their stories and their experiences and what Gershner meant to them and their families and things like that. I think the history and getting some of the storytelling out moving forward is going to be something that I'm pretty proud of.
And so you guys have a showroom, and then are people able to take a tour of your factory or?
If you're an Owners Club member, you can take a tour.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so you have a club, a
We have an
membership.
Owners Club. Yes.
Okay.
And you have to own a Gershner, or you can buy one and join one. It's $30 for a year and $20 renewals each year. Owners Club members are the only ones that can get factory tours. We
Awesome.
have an Owners Club only day each year
Okay.
where we have people that come on site and we have a little sale. We have Owners Club only products. We've got a brand new chest that is sitting upstairs that nobody has seen, and the Owners Club members will have first crack at it. It may never make it to the public. So we have different things that we've done with them like that. They have little patches that come out every single year that they can stick inside the felt in
Oh,
their chest if they want. We've been running this Owners Club since 1999. So
that's amazing.
it's a fun little thing. We've got newsletters that come out about once a quarter. So that deep dives into the history. So Owners Club members can also online have access to all backstories, back issues of the newsletter. So
Wow.
they are the ones that really get the inside scoop, basically, about, all things Gerstner.
I always ask people at the end of the interview, like, what your biggest piece of advice for someone that's wanting to start a creative business.
Yeah, I would say if you're going to start a creative business, don't take no for an answer. No,
Yeah.
no, take a no as a soft maybe.
Yeah.
Don't take it as a no.
I
Just,
love that.
just literally, I mean, a no is not an obstacle. A no is an opportunity. A no is
Hmm.
an opportunity to find out, why did they say no?
Hmm.
Can I make one little tweak that would turn it into a yes? Am
Hmm.
I on the wrong track with what I'm creating? Is
Hmm.
there a market for what I'm creating? I mean, I'm passionate about my little floofenagel, but is anybody else going to be passionate about my little floofenagel?
Hmm.
So like I said, don't necessarily take no for an answer if you're creating something.
Hmm.
Find out, it's an opportunity to find out, why is it a no?
Hmm.
Is it a no because it's not right now? Is it a no because, you just don't want the item? Is it a no because I'm not talking to the right person?
Yeah.
Like, just don't give up. I mean, just let a no always be a soft maybe.
I love that advice.
I mean, we
Wow.
have a website, GershnerUSA.com.
Yes. Yes.
We have a sales a showroom open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Most of the time we're here for lunch, sometimes not. Call ahead. I
Yes.
mean, we'd love to see people. If somebody's got an idea of something that they think that is within their capabilities, give us a shout.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kim. We appreciate you being here, and I would love to see this all in person at one point.
Thank you for listening to The Curated Craftsman. If you were inspired by this conversation, please leave a review, share the show, and subscribe.